Hi, my name is Art. I teach Python, and in this video I'm going to show you function ID. Again, we're talking about Python built-in functions. So if you don't know where to find them, just Google Python built-in functions. And then let me remind you that you could read about these functions here, this official Python documentation, or if this is difficult to read, there are a bunch of other resources such as W3 Schools, and you could also find these functions here. And the function that we're going to be talking about is ID. It returns unique ID for specified object. All right, so let me show you how that works. Now suppose I create a simple variable x and assign a value 7, right? So pretty simple. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is that when you use equal sign here, this equal sign will check, is there such object 7 already in the memory? And as a matter of fact, no, because we just got started, right? So, but then if I do y equals 7, guess what? Will it create a new object or it will be using the same object? So think about it. I'd say it would be using the same object for memory efficiency. Now, how do I know that? I could use function ID. X, I could pass here X, and I'm going to get a number, and then I'm going to do ID Y, and I'm going to get same number. So let me explain you what the number is. And before that, let me tell you, if on your computer you get a totally different number, that's totally fine because you're using a different machine. So this ID or unique identifier is address of this object 7 in Python memory. You could think of it like this. Suppose in the winter you go to some kind of event, you check in your code, and then they would give you a number. Then you want to get your code back, so you need to present that number, and by that number they will find your code. So that's how it works. So when Python needs to find that object, that would be unique ID of that object in Python memory. All right, so that's how it works. Now, and the point I'm trying to make here is that you see these numbers, they match. What it means that X and Y work like pointers and they point into the same object. All right, let me show you something else. Suppose I want to create new variable name A, and I think, hey, how about actually, you know what? Let me do this example here. I'm going to squeeze in another line here. And suppose I want to create a copy of 7. And if I assign X here, and then if I run this ID on A, you see number hasn't changed. So the thing is, that's not how you create a copy. That will not create a copy in Python, because in Python variable names, comparing to other languages, they work as pointers or labels, whatever you want to call them. So in this case we have one object 7, and we have three pointers X, Y, and A pointing to the same object. All right, so that's very important to understand how Python memory works. And later, if you, and again, let me switch this to X here. If later you change values, for example, if I do +1, so now you see number will change because that's no longer 7. X will be pointing to different object. If I run A here, it will be pointing to the same object too. You see? So please keep in mind that reassignment will not create your copy. The only way to create a copy in Python, and by that I mean totally separate object, would be to use method copy. All right? And if I change this +2, so now you see all the numbers will change, except A, because it still points to whatever X is, right? But if you rerun this, and here if you run Y, then you see that's going to be, these two will be totally different objects. So function ID will help you to check whether or not you're working with the same object. And why is that so important? It's important because, especially in data science, you don't want to screw up your original data set. Suppose you have a data set and you want to work on that data set, but you say, hey, I'm a smart person, I'm going to make a copy or take a subset of that set, I'm going to make a copy. And sometimes people would do just like, all right, so copy of that subset I will assign to a new variable. That's a copy. As a matter of fact, it won't be a copy. It will be, you will be working on the same object and you might change your data. So please keep in mind that in Python, variable names work like pointers comparing to other languages. And again, like if you never tried any other programming languages, I don't want to confuse you, but if you have a background in some other programming languages such as Java or C Sharp or C++, in those languages, variable names work like boxes where you could actually put stuff. In Python, it's totally different picture. And in Python, you could easily reassign the value. You see, you don't need to declare it as an integer. You could just say apple, and now you see, we just reassign the value because Python is dynamically typing language. Because what it means that Python will run this command type on each object, and that's why Python is so popular, so you don't have to explicitly program each data type. So use function ID and it will get you unique identifier of each object, and you could see if you're working with the same object or if it's totally different object. Thank you.